Hey everybody, this is Khara Crosswhite Brindle back with my good friends and colleagues, Alex and Liliana. Say hi, guys.
Hey guys.
So we're back on this video because there's been some questions about TEDx or TED Talks, which is really exciting, something I just completed. But also, Alex, share your news. Tell the world.
So I got chosen to do a TEDx. So my TEDx is going to be in March 3rd of 2022. So I was informed last week that I was one of the chosen ones for a TEDx. So a TEDx Cherry
Yes.
Creek. So I'm looking forward to that.
Amazing. So obviously I had to get on a video. I had to talk about this process because I know a lot of people are going to probably continue to ask the three of us about this. So for those of you who don't know, I just finished my first TEDx talk. Alex is about to start his in March. Liliana is thinking about a TEDx talk. So let's kick this off by talking about why we even thought about applying or why we thought about pursuing this possibility in our careers. So actually, I'm going to put Liliana on the spot first and ask you why you're thinking about it, because you just came to our TEDx and we're starting to craft an idea. So you want to share?
Sure, I got inspired. I think that we as humans tend to learn when we hear others share stories, strategies, but it's when someone is talking and how we're connecting to what they're saying. So that day when I was there listening to Khara, I got inspired by all the women who were there, and I was taking notes like crazy and thinking about I want to be there, and what is it that I want to share.
Mm-hmm.
Right, but it was that inspiration. They got to me.
Love it. And that is so validating because that's all about ideas worth spreading. That's um, the trademark, the phrase of what TED is, right? Is ideas worth spreading. So I want to pause here to say that TEDx talks are really about bringing the everyday person into the room, inspiring them, much to what Liliana experienced in sitting down December 4th in our TED Talk. But also that you don't have to be a formal speaker to do this. That these are people of all different backgrounds, all different experiences coming up there, facing the ultimate fear of public speaking and sharing something worth spreading. So hopefully as you're watching this video, viewers, you're feeling inspired too to consider, is this a possibility for you? If you want to face that fear or have something you really think the world could benefit from, this might be an avenue for you. Alex, what about you? You decided to apply, much to our pressure. Wink, wink.
Yes. So for me, I don't want to speak too much about what I want to talk about, but there's this
Right.
this theme. Well, there's a recording we have about Not My Chicken, and I'm so sorry. And so the Not My Chicken, it's been something I've been sharing for years now, both in the educational, as a professor, as a supervisor, for clinicians, as a colleague. I've been using Not My Chicken, and so finally, a couple of students and you guys as well have been pushing me to apply. That this is an idea worth sharing, especially because it's so applicable in different areas of your life. And finally, after much thought and much inspiration as well, being there, I had applied. I think it was a personal goal of mine to, confronting my fears and whatnot, and finally saying, you know what, I can do this. I really can do this. After hearing so many people, friends, colleagues, and students say, you should really go for a TED Talk. I decided, okay, I have nothing to lose, and I did, and here we are. And so it was a lot of motivation, and I think it is an idea worth spreading, and it's helped so many people on different levels. And I think, why not? Yeah, let's do this. But it's one of those things about confronting your fears, and I did, and here we are.
Here we are, and you got it. And that's what's so amazing is, it's a process for a lot of people. So let's talk about the application process. I know that's going to be a question for viewers. Some of you, like me, are going to have applied for several years, just trying to figure out how the idea fits certain themes, because most of these TEDx productions have a theme. Ours was What Now on December 4th for TEDx Cherry Creek Women. And so if it fit that theme and the vision of the facilitators, then we're more likely to be accepted. Alex, what's the theme for the March 2022?
It's innovation meets inspiration. Innovation meets inspiration, yes. And so that's what I bring is innovative ways to bring inspiration for yourself to take care of you.
Yeah. Perfect. So as viewers are thinking about this or hearing us talk, it makes sense that they kind of fit buckets or different categories based on those themes. So a theme is dictated by that TEDx group. They each have independent licenses in different states, different countries to do these talks. The talks can be online, they can be in person on a stage, just depends on the place. So Alex, do you want to speak to the application process? What stood out to you when you applied?
Yes. So for me, it was the having a clear, concise message that you want to convey, and so being able to get the idea that you want to spread without going branching off so much in different areas, being very mindful and very clear of how your what you're going to present is going to be applicable in different areas in people's lives, not just one streamline area, but it can be broadened into different areas as well. And so you just have to have that key concept that is people can latch on and run with and apply it in their lives.
Right, absolutely. So the application, some tips for all of you who are watching this video later, some tips would be obviously to honor the theme. So if it's out there in the marketing that the theme is what now or innovation meets inspiration, like how does your idea fit that theme? The better it fits, the more likely you are to be accepted into the next round of interviews and or accepted overall for the TEDx. Another thing is to follow the rules. Now that sounds redundant, but like if they say a 30-second video, no more than 30 seconds. If they say rename the video, your last name followed by your first name, follow the rules. That's a test. If you can't follow instructions, you know, these folks are getting several hundred applications sometimes. And so it's quite a competitive structure for 12 to 17 spots for speakers, depending on how big the event is. So I see you both smiling at me because you're like, yeah, it's like grad school where it's like sometimes just write your name, follow the instructions, and that's it.
Yeah.
But that is a big piece of the puzzle, is having a streamlined theme, but also following the rules of the application. Now, most of those applications are on Google Doc forms. So once you go to the website of each of these TEDx spots, they'll tell you when they're due. They'll have a whole bunch of information. Sometimes they want headshots and background on you right away. Sometimes they'll ask for that only when you're accepted. So usually the application doesn't take too long. I mean, Alex, in your experience, did it take a lot to put in?
No, I think it was I think it took a lot for me because I type too much. I get too wordy. And so it's a matter of just clear, concise, and to the point. Just cut it down. I think there was a section that only a certain amount of words were allowed. And so you have to be very mindful and cut it clear, concise. And so talking to my husband, does this sound right? Just double checking. But I think but the application process it was just making sure you follow through with all of the instructions that they give you. And then that 30-second recording of yourself is imperative too.
Yeah. Sometimes it's 30 seconds, sometimes it's 90 seconds. The shorter the video, the harder it is to fit in your idea for a lot of us, because we'd rather elaborate than be clear and concise. So I'll normalize that too when it comes to videos. The other thing is they don't want to see a video or idea that's already been out there for too long. So obviously, Alex, your idea has been out in our video, but hasn't been to a broader audience before. And so that might have been a key factor as to why they thought this is great. But for folks that are applying to multiple TEDx's, they don't want to see a video that was posted 3 months ago that you're now connecting to your application. They want something new, relevant, here and now, and present. So learn from that as well for those of you who are applying to multiple TEDx talks at once. So for Liliana, I'm going to come back to you. If you were to apply, where do you think you find these TEDx's? Let's go there.
So just Google for me, because I have the insiders that I reach out to Khara or to Alex. When do you know is the next application? So you can be like me and reaching out to these professionals now, or just Google in your state and then those dates will come.
Yes, it is. And you might be surprised to know, and this is why I put you on the spot, that there's actually a whole directory of the TEDx's at the national level, the international level. It's a cool little interactive map. So I'll make sure to include the link here in this video. But that's where you can look far out. If you're looking for next year, looking for 6 months out, some of these applications, they want 5 to 6 months turnaround to help people prep and actually get to the stage. So, you're not doing something tomorrow, you're potentially applying and it's sometime next year. But you can filter it. You can filter by state. There's youth programs versus adult programs. There's online, like virtual Zoom presentations versus stage presentations. And so for our viewers, I want you to know that that's a resource. You could literally say, I'm willing to travel to X state. So now I'll go there and apply at that one. But they're all by month. So you can apply each month to several if you want to. So it's a process. Each of them want something slightly different. But for those of you who are like, how do I even find out what TEDx's exist? There's hundreds of them all over the place. And there is a place to find them outside of asking colleagues, which is still a great idea as well. So let's talk about where people go from here. So if you are excited and you get into the application and you submit it, and then you hear the great news that you've been accepted, what happens there? Well, Alex, you're in the midst of this right now,
Yes.
obviously without sharing trade secrets, because each
Yes.
TEDx is slightly different.
Yeah.
What was expected of you to accept that offer?
A commitment of training. There's definitely commitment of training. I know for the one that I'm going to go to, there's going to be 3 in-person training that we have to set time. We have to allocate. I think one of them is 5 hours, another one's 3 hours, and another one's the hours vary. So they'll let you know that you're going to be trained, and then there is an expectation of you to practice. And so you're going to be practicing with colleagues, and you're going to be practicing with individuals who are not part of your circle as well. And it's just to get yourself prepared for that speaking and get feedback and see where you're at and be open to modification, open to changing, open to revamping. And then there's certain, so they give you a list of dates that need to be saved, and list of dates that you need, in order for you to partake, you have to meet these certain requirements, these certain meetings. And some of them are in person and some of them are virtual. And so, for example, my first one's going to be December 31st, and it's going to be virtual. Everything's going to be virtual, the meeting. So they give you a list of everything, if it's done in person, the COVID-19, they give you a whole packet of what is needed. But mainly the key thing is those days. Be sure that you're going to be able to commit to those days for the training.
Right, it's a process.
Yeah, definitely.
Absolutely. So for obviously all the TEDx's are run slightly differently, but there is usually a structure of practice, much to what Alex just said. Going through it myself, it was practicing in front of colleagues, including these 2, followed by strangers, which actually was super helpful. I know for a lot of you are like, ooh, that sounds horrible. I enjoyed that so much because they didn't know me. And so I felt like the feedback was even more to the point, because they're like, I don't have to protect your feelings, or I have to like you. I just have to tell you what I've learned from your talk. So that was my experience. So let's come back to the stage. So Liliana, I know as a viewer, you came to this TEDx, you saw a bunch of women speak, you were inspired. Tell me what you noticed about the structure of some of the talks, if you can.
I was just thinking, like, everything was a theme, right? A theme of everyone was unique. Everyone had a different topic, yet there was a theme of self-improvement. There was a theme of look at you, what you're doing, and what you can do. Right. And that's what I love. And the persons that I connected the most, or the women that I connected the most, had something that I connected with their story, with their narrative, right? So it's not just about what is happening, but also like that connection that we all look for.
Yep, absolutely. Alex, would you say that that's true for you as well?
Yeah, it's how the message is resonating with me and touching my core, and how can I apply this? It's that, ooh, I can apply this. Ooh, I didn't think about that. So it inspires you to think outside of the box, and also how to connect. I think that's what I absolutely love about TED Talks is the ability to connect with the message and the messenger in their experience and apply it to yourself as well.
Right. Absolutely. So both of you were honing in on kind of some structural things I want to touch on that I've learned from public speaking coaches to the coaching that Alex is about to do. And of course, each program is slightly different. But I think what I've heard consistently is story. People want to hear a story. They don't want to be lectured to. They don't necessarily want it to be like a academic conversation, because I know we all are educators too and professors, so that could be a risk of like kind of getting on a soapbox, if you will. So they want to hear a story, they want to feel something they can connect with. And for me, it was learning how to format a talk that had a hook at the beginning and a call to action at the end. And so what's a hook? Well, a hook is what gets people's attention, right? So if someone starts a presentation or a TEDx talk by saying, hi, my name is Khara, and I'm here to talk to you about, like, it kind of crashes because it's not engaging at all. So hook can be several things. It can be a statistic, something that gets people's attention, like, hey, did you know 135 people are impacted by each suicide minimum? There's a statistic. It could be a question. Have you ever, when asked how you are, responded busy, which you all saw in my TED talk? Something that gets people thinking. The third element can be something that's just giving them pause, really to start thinking. So a hook itself can really start a talk off on the right foot and get people really engaged and present versus checked out. Does that resonate with both of you so far?
Yes.
So some of our favorite talks, when we think of other TEDx speakers or people who've had viral videos, sometimes they're doing that. Everyone from Brene Brown to Adam Grant to people who are just showing up again and again, doing multiple TED Talks. The call to action is something, Liliana, you spoke to, of like, I want to feel inspired. I want to feel like there's something I'm supposed to walk away with. So the call to action could be everything from, I want you to clear your calendar of busyness, to I want you to identify your self-care. I want you to check your chicken, which that'll make more sense later for Alex. But usually a call to action is something tangible they can do, something that brings motivation to the end of the talk of like, all right, I have something and I'm going forth. Can you all think of other ideas from this latest TED Talk that had call to action? Things you remember? I'm putting you on the spot.
I think it's also not so much direct, but that there was one specific talk that really motivated me to like get up and do it. It's inspirational. It's not necessarily call to action, but inspirational. The one with the chicken dance.
Yeah.
Oh, I loved it because engineer online, engineer on demand. I loved it because it's something so simple, so applicable, and you can do it every day. And it's not so, and the fact that the call to action was just to remember, recall, and reapply. Remember, recall, and reapply. It wasn't verbally stated, but it was inspired to do so with her actually challenging us to get up and do it. It was beautiful. Yeah.
And so I think what the viewers should be taking from this is the more applicable, the bigger audience, right? So we don't want to be so specific that we actually eliminate people from the pool. We want people to feel like, oh, this is relatable to me. If it's too specific, you're going to ostracize certain folks that might actually want to hear your talk or might say, oh, this isn't applicable to me. So when we saw these 17 women get up on stage December 4th, a lot of them had things that could be applicable to bigger groups of people. So thinking about your audience, who's going to be inspired? What is the message worth spreading? What's the call to action for each of those folks? These are some things that will help your talk start to get crafted in a way that feels really good to you. And your coaching, of course, and training, much to what Alex shared, will also refine it, plus all the practice in front of people. The last thing I want to emphasize for our viewers is not to memorize. Dun, dun, dun. So I can tell you that the 17 women that were part of the TEDx Cherry Creek Women 2021, December 4th, had deer in headlights when this was told to us. You will not memorize your talk. And it was like, what do you mean? Public speakers, we've learned to do this. Lay people have learned to do this. People in school have learned to do this. Why? Why are we not memorizing? So what are your thoughts, both of you? What do you think is the reason for that?
You don't want to sound like a robot. You don't want to sound like you're selling a message. I think that what all of you are talking about is that connection, right? And I connect to someone who is present, who can pivot in the moment, who I see them as human, who I can relate to, right? Who I can see. And so if you memorize something, you're just gonna sound exactly like a robot, and I don't want that.
That the audience won't like it. Fair. Alex?
Yeah, and I think there's this genuineness and authenticity that shows up organically when you are able to be in the here and now rather than, oh, I forgot my line. Does that make sense? It's more like right here, right now, let me be present and tell you my message. And being authentic and genuine is what makes it so it's such a gift. It's such a gift to be present in that moment. And yes, we know you're nervous, and yes, we know you're overwhelmed. But I think that was the beauty of it, of you showing up with your gift and the message and being authentic and genuine as you're giving it as well. That gives you so much credibility and validity that I honored that. I really honored that, and I loved it because right there, right here, right now, you're here with us, and I love that. Yeah,
powerful. Absolutely. Yes. So even though this creates some anxiety for our viewers who are like, I need to memorize it and practice. Obviously, we are saying practice, yes. But I want people to think of it more as like the Candyland game, where it's like little squares of information that you're trying to weave together into a pattern without feeling like it has to go one certain way. And for those of you who go through the TEDx journey, the hope is you would have trainers and coaches that will say, we do want you to be authentic. We do want you to be, in the moment and not robotic, much to what you both said. So it's worth it. It is a discomfort area for a lot of us, but I think it showed up on the stage really well from both of you being participants and audience members saying that it worked well. So those are just a few things. By no means are we experts on TEDx. This is just from my experience recently, Alex jumping in and Liliana considering it here in her near future, that a lot of people are thinking about the purpose of this and is it a worthwhile thing to do as part of our professional career. So I can tell you from my experience, we're two and a half weeks out from my first TEDx. I got a client within 48 hours. I have people who are sharing the video. The hope is it'll bring some new connections in 2022. So for anyone who's considering this, it's a milestone. It's a moment to cultivate into your professionalism, and it does lend some credibility, hopefully. So at least in my experience, it does. Any questions from the two of you before we wrap up this video for our audience?
Not a question, but a thank you. Right? We keep hearing, tell me who you're hanging with, or who are your friends, who is in your circle, who inspires you. And for me, it's not a question, it's a thank you. Because both of you inspire me to get outside my comfort zone, to be authentic, to pivot when I have to, and to be innovative. Like, I just want to go and try new things. I'm ready to jump off the plane. That is my theme for 2022.
I love it. Yes, we're going to be right there by your side, cheering you on as you do it. And we're going to be in Alex's audience for his talk in March 2022. So it's amazing. I love that all of us are starting this journey or going through it. And hopefully it inspires others to give it a shot. You know, if you have an idea, even if you think it's resonating in your smaller circles, that is the first sign that maybe it is an idea worth spreading, that people are encouraging that way. So Alex, any questions or thoughts from you as we finish?
No, just thank you also for trailblazing and for being able to pave the way, because I know you and I have talked several times like, oh, we would love to do this, and then you when you got it, you helped pave the way. And it's just, I think being able to have that connection and be able to connect and inspire and motivate. So thank you both. Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, I look forward to our viewers being able to access all of our talks when they become available, and I'll make sure they're shared when they do become available. So Alex, yours, and Liliana, you know I'm already plotting for yours. Yeah. So, and I'll happily share mine. That just happened. I'm just really grateful that both of you were there, you know, and being all sentimental that you were in the audience, even though I couldn't look at you. I appreciate you both being there and having this conversation after. So thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
Awesome. Well, viewers, stay tuned for more videos. Let us know if you have questions, and I hope you'll feel inspired to do your own TEDx talk in the near future. Take care.